Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm at the Red Oak Victory, World War II ship. It was the last ship built here in Richmond, California, and I'm going to go take a full tour of it and see the whole ship. So come along and let's go see what we can discover.
Navy purchased 10 of these, had them remodified for the Navy, which were called Boulder class. So what they had to do, they had to make it fit for the Navy. They had to add all the cargo holds, had to put in steam smothering fire apparatuses. So in case a fire develops in the hold, you can turn on a valve and smother with low pressure steam.
Oh, really?
It'll put out a fire.
Huh.
Because it's hard to get out. Once these cargo's sealed, you know, they got to put the...
Is that the yellow hose here? Or no?
That's our main water line. That
Oh, okay.
supplies the fire line too.
Got it.
And it goes down to a fire hydrant, you see it.
Oh, yeah.
That's all water that comes in there. That's one. I think we have another hose for like tap water. It's another.
Got it.
Mainly for the fire line. And that goes right to the fire system there. Okay. Yeah, so they had a cargo hoses. Once there's everything's inside, they had to put the hatch covers and the battens and the straps are on there. And originally, the only way to get down the car, we had two vertical ladders every hold. You had to climb down at every level of the hold.
Oof.
So now we've added doors down.
So those
below.
are like a complete story, like a house story, down.
Yeah.
Straight fall.
Straight
30-foot
fall,
drop.
Yeah, each level is about maybe 10 to 12 feet each level or something like that.
Now, what were they carried?
Ammunition. This ship was an ammunition hauler.
Ammunition.
Too.
So they had to have hydraulic lifts and everything, right?
Just netting. They did everything with these booms. You see what?
Oh, yeah, I see it up
booms,
here.
you know, these are rated 5 tons each. They
Okay.
would use them. They do have 2 jumbo booms on the dock. We're not on the ship yet, but those are one's a 30-ton and the other one's a 50-ton jumbo boom.
And this thing, was this part of the ship or no?
It's really crane now. It's used in Yard 1 to help put ships like this together.
Oh, I see.
These are called whirly cranes.
Got it.
This one here was in Yard 1. It might have been there at the time when the Red Oak was built.
That thing looks pretty old.
It is old. It's older. It's 9 years older than the ship.
I bet.
What year was it built?
And this was used to build Bonneville Dam and Grand Coulee Dam up in Washington State.
That?
Before
Really?
they brought it down to Richmond. So
Wow. And they got an eagle nest up there or something. Hawk nest?
just think you hook these little crank things. You have to do that by hand. It takes 2 people to turn that rudder. It's not easy, you know. So that's only used in emergencies. And all you're doing is make sure that the ship doesn't get sideways in rough seas so it don't capsize. So you want to make sure the bow is pointing at the rough seas. That way the ship doesn't get
Was
sideways.
steering a problem back then? Did
Huh?
they got 3 fail safes for it? Was it a problem? Did it fail? The
Because they
steering?
had so much ammunition.
I don't think so. It's there for backup, you know, just in case it's there. Normally you wouldn't use it. But, like I say, you have 5 different ways to steer this rudder, but the other ones you're not really going to go across the ocean that way. It's just, as I say, it's an emergency. Just get the rudder.
Okay.
That's all. But mainly, normally it rarely happens where all of them break down.
Right.
It could. Everything's possible. So you want to make sure you have that, you know. So like I said, these are merchant-built ships. So when we go inside the cabin, you'll see wooden doors. I did one guy. He said, "How can this be a Navy ship? You got wooden doors." I said, "It was a merchant-built ship, but the Navy had it remodified. But they left some of the stuff in there." Merchants, you know, so they left the rails or wood, the doors. It's not a fighting ship, it's a supply ship, Navy supply ship, so this was an ammunition ship.
But they did have anti-aircraft guns?
They had guns on it. They had 10 guns on the ship.
Right.
And your Navy operated the guns.
Right.
Some merchant ships did have of course they had to have an arm unit put on the ship. And they were the ones in charge of the guns. But it's still civilian operated. This ship was all Navy at the time when it first was commissioned. But once the ship left the Navy, the merchants took over, and they took the guns off the ship because they didn't need a armed guard unit on it. Some ships had an armed guard on it.
Wow.
That's what this would have been called, the Armed Guards Quarters.
Okay.
But the Navy had this used as that too. So they followed, the merchants followed what the Navy did. First commission December 5th. First was launched November 9th, 1944. It was first commissioned by the U.S. Navy December 5th, 1944. The Navy in service in December 10th. 5 days later, it was actually in the service of the Navy. Took ammunition at Port Chicago, and it made a stop in San Francisco, pick up a crew or something. Then it went to Hawaii for another stop for maybe ammunition or something. Then I think from there it went to the Philippines. And then from there it went to the Ulithi Atoll, which is in the South Pacific there. The stage area where ships would gather. That Red Oak would stay most of the time there during all the World War II. And after standby, I'm not sure where. There. It was in the Navy still after World War II on standby. And finally, the Navy didn't need it no more, and they turned over to the merchants. You know, the merchants took over. First company that had this ship, merchant, was Luckenbach Steamship Company. Huh. They carried general cargo, you know, stuff like that. They had it for 7 years, I believe. And they turned it over and they need it no more, and another company takes over, like Alcoa. I'm not sure that's the order, but 6 other companies had this ship for a short period of time. The last company that had this ship was based out of Seattle. That was the United States Mail Lines. So there was a ship carrying mail to different countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for like 3 years, and all the way until 1968. So December 12th, 1968, the ship was finally decommissioned. 7 of the mothball fleet. The companies bought it, and finally they was getting ready to be scrapped. Years later, and Congress calls the city of Richmond to grab a Richmond-built ship because they're going to start scrapping it. So the Lang was up there; they're ahead of us. They saved that ship. That was actually built in L.A. I think it was up here in the mothball fleet in Sicily Bay. So they went down to L.A. and that's a museum ship now. They're like 10 years ahead of us. So they picked a Red Oak because it looked like they said it's the best looking one up there. They had like 6 other Richmond built ships there, but they looked like they were. I remember when I was up there, one was listing. It was taken in water, so they didn't want that one. But what we did during the time they brought the ship here, they wouldn't have teams go up there to Mama get parts. We got a bunch of stuff like these off the other ships, door latches and valves like that, all kinds of valves. But those things are expensive.
That was by Benicia, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I used to see those all docked there.
Before my time, but say back in the late 40s, early 50s, there's over 400 ships up there.
Wow.
On standby. And some were probably the Liberties were probably starting the ones that first started to rot away. They're the first ones they scrapped, I think. Same with Victories. But when I was up there, some of them ships looked brand new. But they weren't going to be scrapped. All of them are on standby. But I say this whirly crane here was used to put ships together. All the yards, 4 yards, we had almost 60 of these. 50-something cranes like these were used to. They would work by themselves or a group of teams of 4, load up like parts of the deck house, putting in the engines and the boilers, but these are rated at 60 to 70 tons. Anything heavier than that, you had to have 2 of them.
When was that thing made? It looks quite old.
This is 9 years older than the Red Oak, I know.
Huh.
See, it's riveted. They don't just rivet.
Yeah. It's like the Golden Gate Bridge crane.
I know some areas where they're rivet. I can't remember. I've seen areas where they got bolts in them now. Probably because the rivets popped out.
Yeah.
So they replaced it with bolts.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff are welded now.
Yeah.
And these cranes will go on these large railroad tracks. You still got one existing near the water line.
Oh yeah, I see it.
The other one's buried under the asphalt where the blocks are there. Lines up with the wheel there. They would go down the side of the ship.
Are these props off of this ship, or?
That one over there used to be on it. This is a spare one. We have one on the ship now. That furthest one over there is going to be scrapped for metal, I believe. We're going to keep this one for a spare that's in good shape.
Yeah.
That one there has got a wobble. It's hit something one time. So it's off balance.
Yeah.
So they're going to scrap that. So They each weigh about 29,750 pounds each. It's
Yeah, they
just shy
don't look light.
15, just shy of 15 tons,
That's
and they're
crazy.
made of manganese and bronze mix.
Wow.
So they're not pure bronze because it's too soft. They have to mix manganese with it to make them strong so they don't bend under torque. And also manganese is like iron and rust. So when you mix those metals together, it prevents it from rusting.
What is that for, the tool?
The tool to tighten a nut on the shaft. So if you're out in the middle of the ocean, all of a sudden you're not going over, your propeller's slipping because the nut's loose.
So you'd have to lower that down with a crane and then...
Well, what you would do, someone said there's a thing here, I'm not...
Oh, I see.
Guide, and you had to run a cable to the capsule over here. That maintains the weight and lifts it up for you, and you drop it over into this flagpole. You have a team of skin divers down there, and they would have to line it up against the propeller. Once it's on there, I'm not sure how it works, but there's
Something would have to hook into here and then pull it.
Yeah, that's the cable or something. And they have an air-powered tool. They say they use a hammer.
Oh, wow.
So so you don't get a sled. You can say that might be, but you don't do that in the water. It's a pneumatic powered tool, which is a pounder. You like to it pounds, isn't it? All you do is you can turn that, just have to tighten the nut on the shaft. So you probably want to go maybe an inch, maybe. Once it's tight and secure, you bring it back up.
Now you can see where they hit it.
Yeah, right there. That's right, a pounder there.
Wow.
So it's been used.
That would be a difficult job.
I said 8, okay, 8 guns like this, yeah. They're located like on the wings here. Should have had a total of 10 guns on it. And we're trying to find 6 more like this, because these are the type of guns that are on the ship. Hard to find, you know. Because they got the shoulder things here.
Is that the actual gun? This is the actual gun?
It's an actual gun, but it can't be fired
right,
anymore.
Of course. But
barrel's plugged and half the tools and parts are missing off of it. But it still swivels around and people like to take pictures of it, pretend they're firing at something. And
reminds me of those movies, Tora, and Midway.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. I used to love those as when I was a kid.
Shoulders and the handlebars are here, and the trigger would be here. I remember the spring used to work, and I didn't work because it broke. I think it rusted out.
Oh wow, it's a lot heavier than I thought it'd be. It's really
these
heavy.
other ones we have down below, they're like the Vietnam Air, they're lighter, and they look cheaper built than these. They have a pedal that doesn't go up and down. This here, you can crank it up. It takes the crew of 3 to operate.
Does that go up?
Yeah, you can raise it up a couple of feet.
Okay.
So when you're in this position like this, you're too close to the deck.
Oh, I see.
You can raise it up so you're more comfortable. So if you happen to shoot that high, normally you don't want to keep it maybe like 40.
What's the caliber? The 50 caliber? Or?
This is 20 millimeter.
20 millimeter.
Which is like the projectile is 20 millimeters in diameter. We have one on the box you sign in. Before you leave, you might see one there. It's about this long.
Okay.
Oh, I saw that.
20 millimeter diameter. Magazine goes here. So one guy is here firing.
So you can see the size of the bullet. It'd be
yeah, about that.
That's a big
A
bullet.
little bit smaller and it goes in there.
Yeah.
The other guy, he's the one that cranks up the elevation. The third guy, he's the one that brings over the magazines and mounts the magazine in here. Usually they would have them stored here ahead of time. If you get short, you go over that hatches here, yell down to the guy down there and tell him I want some more magazines, you know. And over here, the anti-submarine gun, which is takes a crew of 11 for this one.
That's the anti-submarine gun?
Yeah, you mainly shoot submarines, you know.
So
we still got to find parts of this gun. A lot of stuff's missing.
Does it shoot in the air or in the water?
You line of sight. So you see a submarine about a couple miles sticking out of the water.
Okay.
You can aim at it and shoot it.
But at an angle like...
At a little bit angle, yeah. It only don't shoot like it is now.
Right.
That's why. But if you were to shoot it like it is, the projectile would go about 11 to 12 miles.
Oh, wow.
So that's how far it's go. Submarine, they say you shoot within maybe a couple of miles or so.
Is it designed to break the hull of the sub? The bullet?
It would puncture or something, sink it, yeah.
Right.
So this can easily penetrate 2 inches of steel.
Really?
Yeah. And also sound-powered phone.
How does that phone work? You'd have to crank it to get power to it, or?
Well, it requires no power.
Oh.
What you do is you want to call the bow because you can't see the front of the ship. So normally you set the number 8 for bow.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to do the
It's
aft.
like your-
We're at the aft steering, so this bell should ring itself. So you're ringing one at the bow of the ship, you know. And you talk to anybody holding this button down all the time. As you're listening and talking, you can't let go like a walkie-talkie. It won't work. You have to hold it down and talk to them. When you talk, you got to talk slow, not fast.
Oh.
They say if you talk too fast, it comes out as one long word.
Oh,
it's
that's
not going to
funny.
sound like the word you're saying.
That's why you bark things, I guess.
Yeah, you have to talk like a child,
Yeah.
probably. What is up ahead? Or something
Yeah.
like that. You don't say, what's up ahead?
Yeah.
If you say that, it goes blah, blah, it won't sound like it. So you have to, so it works out to sound your voice in a diaphragm here. It vibrates signals
Oh, wow.
to the line, just like a paper cup and a string used
Yeah.
to do. Works like that.
Huh.
But I guess they sound
So that's
better.
if they lost power, they could still communicate? Is that the purpose of it not being
right.
powered, or?
Well, these aren't powered anyways, but that's the only phone they would use on these. That's why they use them. You don't have to worry about batteries or electricity. So,
Yeah.
on this ship, and then when you go to the only phones connected is what you see here. The captain has one in the wheelhouse. The engine room, the gyro room has one. Radio, I don't think the radio room has one. The radio, you have to use a boy. They have what they call a voice tube. We had voice tubes. You're speaking to a tube. A couple of them on the ship.
I've seen those in the movies
That would
too.
be part of, like you see on the Titanic or
Yeah.
any ships like that.
That's pretty neat.
These are merchant beds, are a lot better, and they only go 2 levels. And the merchants where the bosuns would have been in here.
The bosuns?
Bosuns,
What
what
is
charge
it?
of the main deck, you know.
Oh, okay. This is the wood you're talking about, huh?
Yeah, wooden doors, you left in there. If it's a Navy built ship, they've been steel. This here should be about 6 inches off the deck, probably.
This is where they slept, huh?
Spacey, a little narrow. Some say, some boats, they say you would hit the guy above you. Merchants here have been certified for 17 in here. Says on that wooden thing up there. That's merchant.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Navy put 28 people in here.
Really? 28 people in this room?
Extreme anchors, in case you need this. It's a smaller anchor. It only weighs 3,395 pounds, you know. The ones at the bow are about 2.5 times bigger than these.
Oh, wow.
They're like 9,000 something, 9,500 pounds.
I think they put
It could be mixed too, man. Could be that too.
Get a workout for that. Wow. So what is the purpose of these big ear thingies?
Well, those are your Calvins. Those that provide air down below.
They just scoop the air as the ship's
Yeah,
going?
you could rotate them. They got hand where you could move it where air comes in one, and the other one's an exhaust vent.
Okay.
So that provides air down in the cargo hold. Is what it
That
does.
makes sense.
All right, there's the crew mess in here.
Crew mess hall?
Crew pantry and also the dishwashing area.
Pretty small.
Pretty small.
I thought it'd be bigger.
Original coffee makers there. Works off ship's low pressure steam.
Oh, it does. The steam ship pressure?
This steam
The
is low
ship
pressure.
steam pressure, I mean?
That's the original.
Steam is used not just to power the turbine, it's a high pressure turbine.
Wow.
Used by high pressure steam. Those are lower pressure. It was used for auxiliary stuff. So coffee. And in the galley itself, you have a potato peeler, ran off steam. The kettles in here were steam powered. And stuff like that.
Wow.
So
I've never
the
noticed
heaters were also steam powered to heat the ship up. You know.
Oh, wow.
In here, come in the galley itself. So this galley was big enough for a ship's crew of about 104. So if you had a ship had, because big cargo ships didn't have a big crew on there.
Right.
So I mean, this ship maybe 130 people. This here 104. Someone said 111. 2 tanks. I know one of them holds 70 tons of water.
Okay.
Pure distilled water. That's used for drinking and also for using in the boilers, because it has to be pure distilled water. You can't use salt or water with calcium in it. It has to be pure distilled water.
Right.
Ovens are down here. This is your diesel fired stove. We'll be using this in a couple of weeks on our pancake breakfast.
Did you say diesel?
Diesel.
Does it smell like diesel in here and everything?
Oh, it will if they don't fix this
Wouldn't be
pipe
s-
here. I told them they got to make sure you put this back together
Yeah, I
or it
see.
will smell like diesel.
What is that green thing?
That's the blow burner there.
You blow air?
Oil into the burner. This is where This is what gets hot. This is a heat exchanger here.
Okay.
Well, this gets super hot. You can put boiling water on it.
Right.
It's the only thing you can cook with here. This is where your food, pancakes, or hamburger go on here.
Got it.
So that gets hot, but don't get as hot as that. It's a heat exchanger, so you cook on this part.
So you still use this? You said you have pancake.
Yeah, we'll be having our Mother's Day. We'll have our pancake breakfast. They'll clean this again. I'll make sure they'll put that back together. If they don't, it will, because I wasn't here on the first pancake breakfast.
Right.
They didn't have the blower hooked up. Somebody wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
They cooked the pan and this thing spilled with diesel.
Oh.
And also, a few years ago, I was looking at this. Look, what's this go to? And it says steam. Steam, this pipe that's skinny. And I go, where's it go to? And one guy, he goes, oh, that's a steam in case you have a flue fire. Like this here. They've added AC, but this originally is all DC. And it plugs into things like you see there in that box. Take out any, put any, and that thing tightens it so it don't come unplugged in case you're in rough seas.
DC. These things are
Same with the toasters, are also DC. Buttons you push in your cabin. And also their mast to the rings this bell here. And these you call flag here. The flag would start moving where that button's pushed. So say the captain wants something, so you sort of go up to the captain and ask what he wants, you know. So they get room service.
This thing would light up or
They
move?
move. So much so they, I don't know how it works. There's one guy who's here, he said he showed me how they work. These things would move out or in, I forget which way, but I wish I knew where he operated. Something in here maybe, I can't remember where he, somewhere there's a switch somewhere, I'm not sure where it's
So that was the high priority if you saw these moving, huh?
Yeah,
In the
He
bell.
showed me one time, I can't remember where he showed me, but I'll have to ask somebody else that's here. I don't know. Electricians might know that there.
It's a little nicer chairs
A swivel,
with a big pan.
a fan, and a fan of ports here, and also a heater there. And back in the early 50s or something, they added air conditioning to the ship. This didn't exist during the Navy. So these were added on, so the message would get cool. And the merchants, they couldn't tolerate the heat like the Navy did. Navy, the only thing they did is open the ports, those are only air conditioning, a fan. You turn off the fuel, up there, fuel shut off. And their own mess in here, which is a better built mess.
Oh, I see.
Cushion seating.
That's where the officers have their own custom. It's funny, each level the chairs get nicer.
Yeah, then you have officers.
Now they have armrests.
Armrests, exactly. Separate cushion seating too over there. So yeah.
So this is where the officers would be.
I'm sure, you know, they might have, I don't know, they might have kept them the same, I think.
Yeah, just like
So these are junior captains?
Yeah, these are junior officers, which are, you know.
They still get nicer beds.
yeah. I feel like the higher up we go, the better.
Yeah.
Is that how they kept you motivated or in line?
We have a radio guy in there named Steve. He'll be operating that Morse code radio, and that door over there will be open. You walk in there, and he'll tell you all about the radio. And let's see, 9 years ago they put new campus. I think
Oh, the sun just
Son
kills
does
it.
that in 9 years. He only cost $300.
This is the captain's room?
Captain's quarter. He got the biggest bed.
Wow.
Got a sound-powered phone, a built-in head behind that door there. And got closets and got a little bar built on the dresser here.
Wow.
And got 4 ports, 2 in the cabin, 2 in the office there.
It's like a studio apartment.
Got a built-in library. He's also got a built-in nest for the captain.
This is all his?
It's all his.
Wow.
he can invite other officers that he can eat, and, you know, especially the first officer or something like that.
Yeah. Is this the angle thing of the ship, or?
Yeah, that's the kilometer. It tells you the list of the ship.
Okay.
And what that does is the black hand, if somebody's loading cargo on a ship, they made a mistake where they got too much weight on one side, the ship's gonna start to list.
Okay.
What's gonna do that? Black hand's gonna swing over and move those gold hands to the degree the ship listed.
Okay.
And it stays here. There's no way to, you have to remount, the only way
Oh,
to
yeah, big stand.
remove that, you have to take it off, and there's a setting behind there, but you can't get to it.
Okay.
So the captain, he'll look at that and he wonder what the hell happened. Why we list, you know, so many degrees, you know. He knows what happened. He said somebody shifted the cargo, you know. So yeah, somebody's gonna get chewed out.
This is an interesting
That's your large
typewriter.
typewriter. And
What is this?
the decalog charts are that wide,
Wow.
like A3 size paper. They won't fit on a standard typewriter. So in the decalog, they would type. Sometimes most of the ones I see are written in pen. I don't know who uses a typewriter.
He had his own refrigerator too?
That's a refrigerator. Old Montgomery Ward's refrigerator. It's not working, but somebody might see it try to get it to work, man.
So they give him cash to pay
Right,
the crew?
they would fill that up with cash, where the purser's room is different. They were going to handle expenses not related to the crew. If the ship had to go to another country and buy something, let's say a motor burned out and they needed it right back,
Yeah.
then the purser takes care of that.
Philippine Islands.
But he also might refurbish that ship too, but maybe that's what he did.
Sailing directions, Bay of Bengal.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are pretty cool, actually.
The other closet.
The Pacific Islands, Volume 3. The captain would use these?
Next one, you wanna do keyboard? Go.
Money, I'm not so sure the money that's safe or not. I can't remember what the combination is. Where that white dot is there, called
Yeah.
Ulithi. That's what this map here you see is Ulithi Atoll.
Is that the same place they did atom bomb testing?
No, that was in what do you call that? That was in
Something Atoll, right?
Bikini Island.
Okay.
Somewhere. That's up. That's up here somewhere. I think off the chart here.
Got it.
It's called
What did that thing do?
directional finder. Headphones going here, and this wheel above on the flying bridge. There's a loop antenna. You turn this, and your headphone tells you when the signals get the loudest. And then his hand points to the area. The bow of the ship's always at the top, so that's your bow.
Oh, I see.
The signal's just like it is here,
Yeah.
which shows like 200 degrees, you know, almost, not quite, it's about like 199 degrees, you know. Show you where that signal's come from, so you would pinpoint where the signal's about here. And as far as the distance, I'm not sure how that works. It might be something to do with this thing here.
So this would literally turn the antenna up there?
Yeah, it just rotates the antenna until you get the best signal.
Wow.
So you turn this to get to the, this might tell you the distance. Man, I'm not sure how this works. Those in miles, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to get a map or a book on it. But it pinpoints where where the ship is, and it forms it's called triangling. You know, you do one point,
Yeah.
another ship's one point, a beacon's another point. So it forms a triangle, and with the signals from the beacon intercept the signals where it tells you where that signal is coming from.
This is
Beacon's throwing out signals.
This is an old-fashioned halogen bulb here.
Oh yeah, I know. That's what that is. I know. You know, we're using LEDs now to save the electric bill.
Exactly.
You know, but I think the Hornet does the
So
same.
the captain says we're plot a course somewhere. This is where it was plotted.
Right, the navigating room. This is the map of the Bay Area here. You see all these drawers here are all maps of the world all the way down. So what you do with one, you have to continue it. There's a map that continues from left and right, also top and bottom, you know. So if you're going down this way, you have to find the map and replace it with that one. If you just swing over to the left, or so, yeah, they got them locked.
Yeah, they don't really pull out easily, do they? Interesting.
They tell you where their countries are from. Okinawa is here, so that's
Well, these are the actual ones they would use, huh? They're all dated.
Yeah, they got some under here. They might
Very
keep some that
interesting.
are more active, I guess.
What are these depths, the numbers?
I think those are in fathoms. I think so. They're sound. No, sound is in feet. Okay, here, I'll tell you right there. These are actually feet. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know it's.
Oh, this is San Francisco.
Yeah, this is. I know
Well,
that's
man,
right.
it's
I know
shallow.
in the strait it ain't no. It'd be about 150 feet deep. That's about right. That's at low tide, I believe. But I know it's no 141 fathoms. I know.
Right. What's this thing do?
That's a receiver. They each had that on, but I think a tube went on there.
Radio receiver?
Sounds good for a tube, you know.
Phone? Do they play music for the crew?
Plays music, what station you're on. Tells you the station's a multi-band radio. So you can listen to like Coast Guard probably on it. I
Wow.
imagine it's got a radio, listen to AM, AM or FM, probably AM.
This is an echo depth recorder.
Depth recorder, so depth water, it's all recorded on paper. So it works off a 24/7 thing.
What is it? Why would you need to know that?
I'm not sure. They always have on ships so you know what depth you're in, maybe. In case you
If you go back that way or something?
that way.
God, these are, I remember those.
Those batteries might go into that portable radio. A yellow radio is a portable radio. Now, if this ship is sinking, they say the first thing you want to do is grab that bouquet radio there, put it in the lifeboat.
I can't imagine how heavy that is.
I think it's bolted down.
Yeah,
That's why
but it's
that
probably
bolted
pretty
up.
heavy.
When I was in the galley, I was trying to lift up that mixer. And
That's 100 pounds or
I
more.
said, I can't weigh that much, you know. You got me. It's bolted down. That's probably what this is. Probably. It's like don't weigh that. You know.
Yeah, there's an actual,
That was a
the wheel.
ship's wheel there. Low service radar was put in 1966. So originally this wasn't on before that. One of these spokes has a cutout.
Send that to your work and say
It's not
RFI.
there, but it's one.
Has a cutout for the center?
Yeah, so at nighttime we have the lights on.
Oh, I see.
You feel that, you know your rudder's straight.
Right.
Because only you have the lights off sometimes. These blackouts will be down. Every port had a blackout.
That'd be for the wartime?
Wartime, bro.
So the planes couldn't see you?
So yeah, exactly. So they don't see your lights on in here. The enemy should see your light. You're easy target.
Right.
They shoot you.
And this is some
The
kind of,
voice tube. It goes up to the flying bridge. It works something like these here. These are voice tubes that go to the gyro room and a radio room.
wow,
You speak in there.
pretty cool.
And only the radio room had a sound powered phone. You had
And this is a
a
navigational.
compass there.
Do these slide back and forth?
Yeah, you calibrate the compass with these by moving these back and forth, you know. So it depends on, so you always have to calibrate because so it's near zero. So you can't get it, you get it close to zero as possible. So it's calibrated. This is more accurate. Don't worry about calibrating this because this works off the ship's gyro. So it's true north. You know, this here is magnetic.
What are all the various flags for?
For like the charts, you got a flag box on the chart on the desk there.
Yeah.
That's the merchant version. The Navy had theirs outside on the flying bridge in a rectangular box. And they would pull the flags out in the opening in the back. But the Navy didn't use this, the
I
merchant.
didn't notice this. Atomic attack
Ships
instructions.
had that on there in case they do the procedure.
That's crazy.
They're doing atomic attack. What you do is I had this one poster I bought at Montgomery Ward's years ago. So what you do is you put your head between your knees
Yeah.
and kiss your ass goodbye.
Yes. These are voice tubes. What's this thing do? What's this thing do?
Well, it's a ship's whistle or horn.
Oh,
It's work off air or it's a horn.
you'd pull it up?
Yeah, we do that. I'm taking. We have like Mother's Day, we have a mother. What we do, it's Mother's Day, okay? If we have a lady with her husband, okay, I'm doing a tour. I say, okay, now first you gotta take the screw out.
Okay.
We do that so kids don't play around.
Right.
So when I do a kid or something, I tell them what you're gonna do is pull it up and then go down. What it's gonna do is it's gonna go, bah! Then
So
down
it works?
stops.
It still works?
Still works. It wouldn't work. As long as you have air or, of course we're not steaming now, we have to use air. So it does work off air pressure or steam.
And this is the throttle.
But it's loud enough when it sets off car alarms.
Oh, wow.
So you'll hear them go, bang, 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 you know, so.
Cool.
Engine or telegraph, we'll see that when we go down the engine room. There's a dial down there, which you move here, it's moving the same thing down there to the same function you want up here.
Oh, I see.
So you want this at full throttle,
Yeah.
it does the same thing down there, and the guy who crank up more steam in the turbine, and he has the other lever at the bottom, he'll mark it, the full throttle, where it moves his inner hand.
So this isn't actually controlling it, the guy down there is.
Yeah, it's a symbol, he does all the controlling.
Okay.
That just shows you what you want done.
Got it.
Or you can call on a phone and verbally talk to him on the phone, tell him I want this, so-and-so.
What is that thing?
It's a spotlight, searchlight, which is above on the flight.
And a leak.
Because we had a heavy rain and water comes in there.
Pretty interesting.
You might have to worry about now, it's not that wet, but we had that heavy rain in December. We had a puddle of water here. And they put the leak in the
Cool. And the high chair is just so you can see out the window?
captain, yeah, so you can sit up here and you can observe out the captain. Sometimes was a captain short, probably, because there's a height limit. It couldn't be no more than 6'3", I think, on this ship. If you're taller than that, you weren't allowed on the ship.
Because you'd
bump
hit your head.
or,
Wow.
these ain't so bad here, but in the passageway, you got those valves sticking out. You ram your head on that. 3, that way it's like a spotlight, you know.
Oh, wow. You can see the bulb in there, yeah.
Then you can lock it. Then it becomes a Morse signal light. And flicker light, and then same to Morse code.
That would be 2 ships communicating?
And communicate by flashing lights. Yeah.
This is that spotlight?
That's that spotlight, searchlight, yeah. Here's been a platform so you want to steer the ship from up here, go about center, so you have the wheel probably about right here where the wheel would be.
This is the voice tube down there?
There'd be a little thing like a funnel.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
There'd be another wheel up here.
Yeah, about here, there's been a flying bridge station, they call it.
The captain would come up here and
Captain, he would observe, but he didn't work. He just watched the seamen work. Seamen actually steered the ship. They got orders from officers to tell them what to do.
right.
So the working people were actually the enlist, They
What's
had-
that thing?
That's your directional finder antenna. That's that ring I tell you. You turn that wheel and it rotates this.
Oh, that's
so you
an
get the best
antenna.
signal. So that's your directional finder. And so a lot of people ask us, how can he still think the stack would be in a way, but I guess it does. It still
Interesting.
works. So they still got work to do on that platform. It's got a lot of rust on it.
So this is the water.
That's your DC heater tank. It's a direct contact. So that's what happens with this leftover steam goes through the turbine. Salt water, that's what cools the steam that's left over.
Right.
It's condensed to a liquid, pumped up to the top of the tank here, sprayed at the top. And what it does, it deaerates, so it takes the air bubbles out of the water. It gets preheated about 240 degrees, goes back to the boilers, again superheated, goes through its cycle, and then it does it over again,
So this was powered by diesels or steam?
It lights off a diesel to preheat the steam first. Once the steam gets hot, you switch over to bunker fuel. Because bunker fuel is thick, it's real thick, you gotta heat that up to get it thin.
Okay.
Because it has to be thin, you have to spray in the burners, and it's gotta be in a mist form and spiral, so it ignites better.
Wow.
But it's gotta be heated to 180 degrees, the bunker fuel.
It's like sludge, huh?
Yeah, so it's like, what bunker fuel is like a little step up from crude oil.
Okay.
Someone said they take crude oil and they take the water out. That's bunker fuels left over.
Wow.
And what the steam goes through, it makes it pass through this thing. See this little square thing? That's an
Yeah.
economizer there. That fits between the stack and the top of the boiler. We see that when we go down there. Let steam before it goes in the turbine, it's heated up again, makes it pass for leftover heat from the boiler's given off before it goes up the stack. You can reuse that heat one more time to heat up the steam about 180 between 80 to 100 degrees warmer.
So it's pretty efficient.
Yeah, so that way that's why they call it economizer.
So these are the boilers, or
Yeah, inside, that's where the economizers are inside there.
okay.
So they fit on the little bit lower.
Roomy down here. Westinghouse, huh?
The GE makes them too.
So this is the turbine.
Low pressure turbine here. The bigger looking one, the smaller one here is a high pressure. So this is the high pressure. Alright, so this is the throttle level we're on. This is the turbine. This is your low pressure turbine here. High pressure is a smaller one here. Reduction gearbox right between them. Behind that reduction gearbox is shaft. We're back about 185 feet to the propeller. Go on there towards the inner. So inside, you see they're not noisy because they're enclosed. They make a winding noise. The fins in here spin like 3,000 RPM. The reduction gearbox keeps the shaft between 60 to 100 RPM. That's the maximum rotation. Go up to 100, I think.
This is this transmits it down to the propeller. This box here.
Exactly.
The shaft goes down the propeller.
No, the propeller's way back that way.
Oh, okay.
The propeller's another almost 200 feet back
But
that way.
then there's a big connecting rod or something.
Yeah, that's back of the reduction gearbox here.
Yeah.
About midway. You might be able to see it. Yeah, the propeller shaft is.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah, you see the green lights on?
Yeah.
That's a propeller shaft there. Pushing the bulkhead down shaft alley. We'll go down in the lower engine room. We'll go in shaft alley.
I imagine that's solid piece.
It's pretty. I think it's solid steel.
I bet it is.
Yeah. I mean,
A lot of
one
torque.
guy, I did a tour a few years ago. He said on his ship it was hollow, about maybe 5 inches diameter in the center. You want to know if this was hollow? I said I doubt it.
Yeah.
Maybe newer ships now it might be hollow. Save money.
How come it wasn't powered by a diesel engine like submarines were?
Because that the technology, this is better, I think. Probably
More efficient?
Probably more efficient. The only out of all Victory, they did build one diesel Victory. It was built in Baltimore. That was the only one was diesel. All the others were steam.
Interesting. I always thought that at this period it would be diesel.
Most of them were like you see here. They're the 6,000 horsepower. Each one puts out roughly 3,000 horsepower. You combine them, you get 6,000. Most of them were this one. Some were the AP3s. They only built.
So this is pure steam coming in right into
Right,
it,
uh-huh.
and this would regulate it.
Exactly, as the valves and some.
Well, when you said low pressure, what do you mean by low versus
Lower
high?
pressure steam air. So you got the good for like going in reverse because you don't need that full
Okay.
speed going.
Not as much power.
But they work together as when you're going in full speed. The throttle is right here, and this is where a telegraph is. When the things are moving in a wheelhouse,
Right.
you want to function like full throttle. This bell rings, and he'll look at see the arrow pointing at full throttle. He'll crank up more steam into the turbine, get the ship. And they go by They go by RPM. So you want the ship at full throttle, like full in the stern, which would be backwards. You don't want to go no faster than that.
Right.
But full throttle, you go 60 RPM. So that gets your ship pretty well its top speed, about 15 up. But I heard you can go up to 100 RPM, but you only do that short duration. Because you risk blowing a steam line. It's like redlining a car. But the ship can get up to over 20 miles an hour.
Really?
In an
Wow.
emergency situation, but you got to do it in a short period. The battleship does that too. They told me on a battleship, they can get that. Usually it's around 30 miles an hour. You get that battleship at 40 miles an hour. In a
Pretty
short,
fast for a
but you got to
big
watch
ship.
out because they got 4 times the amount of. They got 8 turbines instead of 2 like this ship. They got more, and they got. You blow a steam line if you're not careful.
What is this gauge for?
That's your
Water?
boiler level water is here.
Never want to let it get low, right? That's why it's right
There
here.
are 2 more on the boilers itself, so it checks the water. I think there's 2 on the boilers actually.
This indicates how loud it was in here because this is a
You
communication,
want to make a
right?
phone call? Yeah, you got those.
So it must have been deafening in here.
But what's loud is right behind it. Those turbines don't make much noise, make a winding noise.
Yeah.
Chief Engineer said this is what makes the noise.
Yeah.
Is the fan in here? It makes a clacking noise.
Oh.
Yeah, a fan does, and the thing starts vibrating. Mornings and nights.
What's under them?
Oh, generator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're both. These are the ships. This is what powers the ship.
Okay.
When it's under, where's that steam? So it's a high voltage, but it's all. It's like over 1,200 volts. That's electrocuted.
They're all DC, right?
All DC material. The DC is worse than AC. It's direct current.
What's that thing right there?
He told me, I keep forgetting. It's a pump for
It's like a
I
replacement.
can't. Yeah, I gotta write it down. He told me here about a month or so, more than a month, 6 months or something like that.
It looks like a
Something-
replacement part or
He
something.
said it goes into it's an inner impeller
Yeah.
for a pump.
Yeah.
It might be for something for the use for the seawater intake, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty corroded. So. How many people work down here? 10, 15?
You had a minimum of 3 people, minimum.
Minimum.
Otherwise, the Navy had like dozens of people down there. Commonizer, a square box at the top of the boilers here.
Yeah.
That's your commonizer. Fire box way at the bottom. We'll be going down in a minute. We hit the one in between the fire box where your boiling tubes are in.
It's kind of like a steam train, right?
Pretty well. It's a higher
Yeah.
pressure though.
Right.
Your like Liberty ships were more like a steam train.
Right.
Here's our original machine shop. Is right here. A lathe here and some tools and a workbench. And
So if they broke apart and they were out to sea, they can make something for
make
us.
something. Most, if you can't do it, they have a maintenance ship. I've been on one maintenance ship one time called the USS Hector.
So how
That's probably the first big ship I went on. I went down in the bottom. They had blast furnaces down there, and they can have castings. They can make a casting, like for example, the casing from this. They can make them on the ship.
Oh wow.
And over here, they had a table. They had like electrical motors and the wiring. They would wire up their own wire motors and stuff, electric motors. They did all that on that ship.
Yeah.
The maintenance ship. The blast furnaces were big as the boilers. You know, they had furnaces. You know, they would make that molten metal and pour it into castings. And
So what's your? How come you know so much? Were you in the
no,
Navy?
they had during fleet. We had it tied up over here in the Richmond Terminal 3 there one time. I went on it. This is back in 1980.
Are you just a war buff, or have you? Why
I
do
used, I
you?
used to have a boat, power boat myself.
Okay, so you know a lot about this
I had
stuff.
it for sale. I was putting my boat for sale. I wouldn't use it much. And around that same time, this popped up.
I see.
My brother notified me. He goes, they're bringing a ship in from the, a Richmond-built ship. You know, they're going to tow it to Richmond. He says, what you could do is get on a ferry, go up to Mare Island, and you get on the ship and they'll tow it to Richmond. He says, for only $25. So that sounds good.
Yeah.
And we got a free lunch out of it too. So I said, yeah,
Hey,
help me out, do it. So I was on, they towed it to Richmond back in September 20th, 1998. You know.
Copper plate.
That's the,
Peabody Fuel Oil Pumping and Heating.
so I put on,
So down here's where they burn the bunker oil and
right here, there's the fuel lines in here, burn off diesel first. Every 4 hours, each burner's got to be cleaned.
oh really?
Every 4 hours?
Every 4 hours or sooner. But you look at the window, if you see the flame not burn, look like it's not burning right, you got to pull out one of these burners here. You stick it just like it is in here. You turn the steam on, you clean the orifice too.
Is that one of them, or?
Which one? You go in here. That's
Oh, they're going there.
They go on these things here. These are your burners going here, and they clip onto here.
So they keep these hot, and then when the fuel comes across it, it burns it, flashes it.
Steam, yeah. These are steam cleaners here. You turn the steam on, you clean the orifice, and the orifice looks like on the end there. Cleans that gunk off. Over a period of time, it build up a gunk and it sprays like a spray can does with paint. You spray it and it starts spitting. This does the same thing with this, you know. So in the meantime, you're doing this, you put a clean one. Always have a clean one on hand. You go to the next one, make your rounds, and take out, put a new one, clean the old one, until all 6 are done. Each burner, you regulate the air mixture registry. Just air flow mixture. So you get, each burner has a periscope. You see that little mirror there? You see what color smoke you're putting up. Another one's on this one.
Really?
Burning black smoke, too black, burning too rich. So you can adjust your air mixture, get it to where it's more leaner. So the smoke is more like a light gray or something. If it's too hot, too lean and burning too hot, maybe it's like little or no smoke. It would be probably more like white smoke or something.
Huh.
Or burning too lean, you know. So maybe we'll add a little more, you know, fuel to
So they'd visually look at the exhaust
yeah.
to see how it's burning. It's pretty smart, actually.
And they've been doing something with this. And they made, normally they have this block, like a square rectangular fits in there when they deal with them. But they've been using these lately. These they can adjust them better by using gravity air. These work off blower air. Sometimes they say you don't have a blower, you use these. And somebody, I don't know who did this, but they made it. These go.
Looks like wood.
Mm-hmm.
I think they all made of wood.
Just regulating the oxygen level, right?
I guess it don't get that hot there. And, I guess a good question. So far I don't see it burn. So because I only lit off once, that's why I wanted. I have to ask you,
Yes.
why these wood? You think it get hot, they'll burn, but maybe the fire's not near there.
It's an amazing amount of labor to get
Unless you're
this
doing this
shit
temporarily.
going.
More than 5 seconds, it's okay. If he goes out, it's
getting
too
hot.
So you have to turn on this valve here, cool it down. Think you have a saltwater shower in it. Water goes down the bilge down here.
Huh.
You know, wonder what's making it overheat. If that fluid, it could be a bad bearing in here. Bearings are made of brass, like half circles.
But they couldn't stop because they needed the power, right?
I know they would do that. They have to probably stop it to remove this, because this here you have to remove the top here, and you have to hang it on that bar there. There could be a way they might be able to still have it turning. I'm not sure, but that's another question I gotta ask the chief engineer. If they have to stop the ship completely, if they want to replace a bearing in here, can the shaft still be turning?
I don't know.
Looks like they got multiple ones too.
You know, you have to get the bearing a couple feet away, it ends to another shaft. And they're identical except for the back one. They're all about the same length. I think they're at 22 feet long.
Is this like a weight for balance?
What's that?
They have any balancing weights on these shafts, or
I'm not sure how they do that, but
you think they would need to be perfectly balanced?
yeah, they must be, they sit in these cradles like in these bearings.
Yeah.
Maybe they're pre-adjusted, but as long as they don't wobble.
Think about your car's drive shaft, you know?
That's why they have these spaced every so often so they don't wobble. The very last one's short, that goes out to the propeller. Next is ballast tanks.
Those keep the ship level, right? The ballast tanks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can put water or oil on them. Depends on the.
Oh, I see.
When they unload these ships, they get too light. You want to get some way to make sure the propeller is underwater.
I see.
So otherwise it'll cavitate when you're underway.
Looks like this one was giving them more problems than others.
A lot of work,
Washed
yeah.
out more.
Oh. And the water line, you can go out in the back of the ship right now, it's half the propeller's out of the water.
Oh, really?
So they give it a shaft, must be it's pretty well centered, so
Yeah.
I guess the water line is probably about right here. So you figure our heads are above water, and the rest of us probably underwater. Yeah, I do the cover to put this on here.
A pony bar?
Yeah, it keeps the shaft from turning from the current. When you're in rough, stormy out, windy,
Yeah.
the weather, the water's hitting the propeller, might start turning this reverse.
Oh,
When
wow.
it does that, it's gonna turn the shaft into the reduction gearbox. It could damage the gears and so that's why they keep it from turning, you know. The other one looked different than this. See, this is simple.
So this whole thing would rotate?
Yeah, this would turn, not, yeah, this would
That's why this locks it down?
That's why it locks it so it don't turn.
Wow.
And that's the new way they did that. The old way didn't look like that. I'll show you what the old one looked like. This thing here. See how long it is?
Yeah.
Yellow. Got holes. Those holes where they're going with these nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
And it would connect right behind you with this. See where it's welded here? Look at it, it's welded.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This is a little
We had a
simpler.
duck. We're right here where we're at now. To continue this way, we had a duck under it, probably about maybe this high. I remember I ran my head on it a few times. So that was the old way. And somebody was to turn their engine over and the turbine, they forgot about that. What would happen? This would break.
Yeah.
This would break right here.
Yeah, well,
Probably up there. It probably wouldn't damage the ship. It won't damage the shaft either because how thin it is.
yeah.
The torque, that would break before this would.
Right.
But this guy, different story.
Yeah.
That would probably rip the framing on the ship and possibly make a wobble in that shaft. Once a shaft gets a wobble, you can't operate it no more.
Yeah.
So that's why they probably did this, just in case something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, cotter pins and all the bolts too. You know,
So
messing with
that's easy to replace there, just a simple piece of metal compared to something like this costs thousands. When it was in the Korean War and Vietnam War, it was just a general cargo ship. Didn't carry ammunition during the Korean, just general cargo.
Okay.
And one time during the Korean War, the ship carried all the cargo. It had both grain and wheat in the cargo holds. They would fill the whole holds with wheat, grain, whatever. Go to a point they would suck them out with big giant vacuums.
Oh, wow.
And they would package them. They did that, especially in India, Pakistan. Did that during the Korean War. And otherwise they carried general cargo.
Okay.
No ammunition. Only China ammunition's Navy.
Was it ever involved in an attack or battle or anything? You're aware
One
of?
time we had one guy, he passed away a few years ago. He was a cook in the galley. He said he had to dodge a torpedo one time. That's the only danger. The ship was close to being hit by a torpedo maybe. But
That's
it was never...
scary.
Because this ship was in an area where the war was winding down, you know.
I see.
So it was never attacked upon. The only damage it got was a friendly own battleship loading cargo in rough seas. It slammed up, broke one of the lifeboats off,
Oh, I see.
and then it broke the circulating pump in the engine room because it was loading off a battleship in rough water or something. And they had to slide, and the bigger ship, of course, shot this ship and did some damage to the outside, on the starboard side of the ship, put a dent in there. They straightened it out, but you look here, you can see where part of that, where they couldn't quite get it all straight, but it's still there.
Wow.
It's the only damage you got, you know.
Okay. Well, what did you guys think of that? The docent was very thorough. I didn't have to do much talking at all. I decided to get the full tour with the engine room and everything, as you saw. So that was fun. Thanks for coming with me. If you guys enjoy what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on my next journey. And I'm looking down because I'm walking down these stairs here. But I'll see you on my next journey, and thanks for coming. All right.